One, two, three, four.
You are listening to SKYLIT, the SKYLIT Books podcast. SKYLIT Books is a general interest bookstore in the Los Feliz neighborhood in Los Angeles. You can shop with us from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. or visit us online 24/7 at skylitbooks.com. Follow along at SKYLIT Books Instagram and Twitter. You can subscribe to the podcast on Podbean, iTunes, and Spotify. Thank you for listening, and now on to the episode.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to SKYLIT Books Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Jeffrey. SKYLIT Books is an independent bookstore located in the Los Feliz neighborhood of Los Angeles, California. We've returned to our regular business hours at the store. We're open every day from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. We're continuing to ask unvaccinated customers to wear their masks in the store, but if you're fully vaccinated, you can come in without one. We're also still offering online shopping and curbside pickup through www.skylitbooks.com. And you can check out our upcoming events on our Crowdcast page, crowdcast.io/skylitbooks. Now on to the show. I'm joined today by Pedro Mairal, who teaches literature in Buenos Aires. In 1998, he was awarded the Premio Clarín. And in 2007, he was included in the iFestival's Bogota 39 list, which named the 39 best Latin American authors under 39. Among his novels are A Night with Sabrina Love, which was made into a film and widely translated, and The Woman from Uruguay, which was a bestseller in Latin America and Spain and has been published in 12 countries. Jennifer Croft won the Man Booker International Prize for her translation from Polish of Nobel laureate Olga Tokarczuk's novel Flights. She's the author of Homesick, a Saurian Prize winner, and numerous pieces in the New York Times, the Los Angeles Review of Books, the Paris Review Daily, and elsewhere. She holds a PhD in Comparative Literary Studies from Northwestern University and an MFA in Literary Translation from the University of Iowa. How are you today, Pedro and Jennifer?
Hello, Mike. Hello,
Hi,
Jenny.
Mike.
Thank you
Great
for
to
joining.
talk to you.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. It's really a pleasure to have you both. I understand, Pedro, you're going to read a little bit from the original Spanish of your novel, and then Jennifer is going to read from her translation.
Sure. This is just half a page of La Uruguaya. That's the title in Spanish. And the book is kind of a long confession of a man to his wife. And he says this: Nunca dejaba mi correo abierto, jamás. Era muy, muy cuidadoso con eso. Me tranquilizaba sentir que había una parte de mi cerebro que no compartía con... mi cono de sombra, mi traba en la puerta, mi intimidad, aunque solo fuera para estar en silencio. Siempre me aterra esa cosa siamesa de las parejas. Opinan lo mismo, comen lo mismo, se emborrachan a la par, como si compartieran el torrente sanguíneo. Debe haber un resultado químico de nivelación después de años de mantener esa coreografía constante. Mismo lugar, mismas rutinas, misma alimentación, vida sexual simultánea, estímulos idénticos, coincidencia en temperatura, nivel económico, temores, incentivos, caminatas, proyectos. ¿Qué monstruo bicéfalo se va creando así? Te volvés simétrico con el otro. Los metabolismos se sincronizan, funcionás en espejo. Un ser binario con un solo deseo. Y el hijo llega para envolver ese abrazo y sellarlos con un lazo eterno. Es pura asfixia la idea.
Thank you so much for reading that in Spanish, Pedro. I'm going to read the English translation. I never left my email open, ever. I was very, very careful about that. It comforted me that there was a part of my brain I didn't share with you. I needed my lock on the door, my privacy, my shadow run, even if only for some quiet. It terrifies me the way couples become conjoined. Same opinions, same degree of drunkenness, as if man and wife shared one bloodstream. There must be a chemical leveling that occurs after years of maintaining that constant choreography. Same place, same routines, same diet, simultaneous sex life, identical stimuli, shared temperature, income, fears, incentives, walks, plans. What kind of two-headed monster gets created that way? You get symmetrical with your partner, metabolism synchronized. You operate as mirror images, a binary being with a single set of desires. And the kids are there to gift wrap that embrace and slap an eternal bow on it. The idea is pure suffocation. So I think we can begin our conversation with that beautiful passage. How did this novel begin for you? Did it begin with this kind of concept, or did it begin with the character, or did it begin with the place?
I think that the idea of a married man completely suffocated. I like the word you used, Jenny, for the translation, who feels suffocated in marriage and blames the family for his own frustration. And he's completely wrong about that, of course, because it's all his fault. He's not writing, he's not producing, he's not going forward. But he thinks it's a family, it's a lack of money. I liked the character and of course his desire, because the story is when it happens in one day when he travels from Buenos Aires to Montevideo for the day to pick up some money on the other side of the border and to meet the woman from Uruguay, this girl, 24-year-old woman who he met last summer. So I think it began with that, with a character who is kind of locked up and then who kind of escapes for the day and thinks that he thinks that everything is gonna be, he's gonna be in paradise for the day, and of course everything goes wrong. That's kind of the first seed of the story.
And this book, which came out in Spanish in 2016, has been such an enormous success for you. It's been a huge bestseller in a number of different languages. But I imagine that with the pandemic, more and more people could identify with this feeling of suffocation and this need to express an individual desire and also to just break free of the prison of the household. Have you gotten more responses from readers even recently?
Yes, I think that you're right. A lot of couples probably got along better before the pandemic, the coronavirus, because they each had their own kind of secret things going on, and some probably were real, some were only kind of almost fantasies or just flirts with somebody at work or whatever. And that probably made everyone kind of, at least those couples, feel some kind of oxygen or something like that. And when that completely was shut down, people really had to live together without going out in the street, I think that things got worse and a lot of couples were feeling horrible. Yes, it's a kind of loneliness. It's a horrible loneliness because it's a loneliness of being with together with someone. That is horrible. I really think that that kind of couple has to break up and do something else. But I think that the pandemic produced something and also strengthened some bonds in couples also. I think that a lot of men realized what all the work in the house was, and what it takes also to teach kids and with the homeschooling. There's a lot of things that happened with the couples during the pandemic. Probably there's something about the woman from Uruguay that connects with that, but of course I didn't think about it when I wrote it, because I wrote it in like 5 years ago, so it was impossible for me.
Either you caused the pandemic on purpose to sell more books, or you just wrote about something that somehow synchronized with what was to come.
But the word suffocation really goes with the pandemic. It's scary, yes.
Yeah. And the film of this book, is it already out, or it's going to come out soon?
No, it's going to come out. I'm reading the first drafts of the script. There's a group of screenwriters who are finishing it. I'm kind of looking it over, but I'm not writing it with them. I'm just gonna observe some things or suggest things, and there's gonna start the filming or rolling. Is it? They're gonna start rolling or filming in August or September. Some parts in Buenos Aires and other parts in Uruguay, in Montevideo. I'm living now in Montevideo, so I'd probably go some days to the set. I hope I can do that here in Montevideo, and in the beach in a park called Rocha, Balizas. That's the coast of Uruguay, a little bit nearer to Brazil. So and there's a kind of system that the producers assembled with associated producers who bought kind of a bonus of a film of the film, and there's about 2,000 associated producers. So they already raised the money to film it. It's a low budget film, but it's about $500,000.
Wow.
They already raised that.
That's so cool. Congratulations. Yes. I can't wait to see them.
Yeah, I hope it comes out well. Already the adventure of doing it and being a part of it is wonderful.
Yeah, so do you enjoy being a part of the continued life of your work, also in the translations of your work? I know you were very helpful with me with my translation. Did you also work with the other translators of this book?
Well, as long as I can understand the language. I mean, in English, I don't have a fine tuning. It would be impossible for me to do what you did so beautifully. I only can understand when something is misunderstood, and that happens also in not so well, but I can read in French and in Italian, and in Portuguese. I can more or less realize when something is misunderstood. So I like to be a part of it and to help the book be as good as it can be. I like knowing about the covers, the images. I mean, there's some kind of process there that I'm always interested in that. And of course, there's a part where you have to kind of let it go. You cannot be too obsessive about it, and you have to know that it's a work. You're working in a group with other people, and you cannot be a total control freak, because then you'll be just someone who is stopping things.
Right.
You have to let it flow.
Yeah, you don't want to be an impediment to your own career, of course. And do you find that continuing to promote a book like this gets in the way of producing new work, or does it all kind of complement each other?
Well, I consider myself first a person that communicates, and then I'm a writer. I mean, one of the things I do to communicate is writings. Also, and my writing turns into poems and sometimes novels and short stories and sometimes songs or a piece for the newspaper, an article. And I think that all these processes of knowing a bit about the books and the publishers and having some kind of conversation with the translators is just a part of the communication. So it doesn't get in the way. When I'm writing something, there's an energy there that nothing gets in the way. I mean, not even the family. I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and I work for 2 hours and then I start being a dad. So no, it doesn't get in the way. Sometimes I can do it. I have more time, and sometimes not so much. But I really like being a part of it.
Mm-hmm. And do you find that you have a different relationship, because you are incredibly versatile, and I love your sonnets, which are so wonderful, and I was hoping that I could immediately begin translating these poems into English, and it was a lot harder than I had realized it was going to be. But I wonder, for instance, shorter forms like the poem or like the short story, which we do have a short story by Pedro coming out very, very soon in electric literature called The Ring, which I highly recommend to anyone who's listening. I wonder if those appeal to you more or less than a kind of more sustained project like the novel, or if it's all really equally stimulating for you to work on.
Well, I discovered when I started writing the columns for the newspaper that afterwards I published them in a book called The Balance, or El Equilibrio, that genres are not less important because they are short.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I put the same love and energy and fireworks into a short story or a really short poem or an article than a fragment of a novel. I mean, I really don't think that a novel is more important. I really believe that they're all kind of gadgets for communicating something. I think I have a brain a bit kind of, I get distracted a lot, or I get bored if I continue doing the same thing. So that's probably why I kind of switched from one genre to the other. It's difficult for me to write a long novel. I really have to have a lot of energy, or that kind of, it's like a brain energy writing a novel, because you have to live for those months in this parallel world where you are secretly very happy. It's wonderful to write a novel. You are creating this parallel universe, but you really have to have a lot of brain energy. I don't know how to explain that, but it's really a drive, a very strong drive. I sometimes have that, and sometimes I don't.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. And you have a lot of other activities that you do too. I know you teach a lot, and it seems that your classes are extremely popular.
I love teaching. Yes, and that's also part of this what's the word for it? Being contagious with the enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm.
If people come to the seminars and they end up writing and wanting to write, that's the main goal, of course. I like to prepare them. I lived this huge change of a paradigm with these platforms. For example, changing into this digital mode with Zoom. Before I had groups of 20, 30 people. Now I have groups of 200 people.
Wow.
With Zoom, and I always try to manage to make it kind of personal, because there's I try to make them as a conversation. I prepare them. I love sharing the screen with these platforms. I mean, working on a text and showing it on Zoom and working all together. I think that it was very difficult to do that in a group with people, and you had to project it with a screen, and it was difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But now with this tools, you can really kind of have the feeling that you're plunging into the computer of a writer, and you work on a poem, somebody's poem, one of the participants, and you start making some corrections, and I think that's really attractive. I really like doing that, and it's new for me. It was completely new. I started doing it last year.
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly new for me too, and I think it was new for the vast majority of people. Do you think that it's something that you want to continue even after all of the pandemic restrictions are lifted, which hopefully will happen someday?
I hope that both things continue together. I mean,
Yeah.
as the elevator and the stairs. I mean,
Right.
Because of course sometimes you miss the connection and the feeling of that kind of feedback that you feel when you are in the presence of a group, looking at someone's eyes, and they look back at you, and you realize someone is understanding, or somebody makes a face, and then you realize your explanation wasn't fully clear.
Mm-hmm.
And this connection of being around, and I always like walking when I teach, and now I'm kind of stuck in this this frame. So I would do both things at the same time, of course. I mean, in a parallel way, and I don't know what it's going to be like, really. Let's hope everything opens again, and there's really everybody trusts a situation with other people in the same room. I know that in the States, for example, things are starting to open, but here in Montevideo and Buenos Aires, it's still quite closed.
Mm-hmm. And you're living permanently in Montevideo now, is that right?
Yes, I came here last year in November, and I wasn't planning to stay so long, but the border was closed after I crossed, and I started staying, and I really liked it. And my wife and I were, for a long time, we had been thinking about moving from Buenos Aires, because, as you know, it's a beautiful city, but it's also huge, and it has this inhuman scale. And we were looking for something smaller, a smaller city to live in, and Montevideo was perfect. And we rented a house, and then we realized we had to look for a school for our daughter. So I don't know if it's permanent really, because things are changing every 2 months or every once a month. All the rules change and the border is closed, and I really will know that when the border is open and I can go back and forwards from Buenos Aires to Montevideo. For now, I'm kind of I chose to keep still on this side of the river.
And maybe if you could just say a few words about Montevideo, because obviously this book is mostly set there, and you speak a lot about the fascination that Uruguay holds for people from Argentina. If you could just say a little bit about that and your own relationship with Uruguay before we kind of conclude.
Yes. Well, of course, I realize now living here that the Montevideo I showed in the book is right, but it's only kind of a very small line, a very small kind of city trip. I'm knowing now a bit deeper the way I'm knowing the city now. It's really interesting. It's full of secrets. It's not a city that it's clear to understand. People are very nice. You get lost a lot because there's a lot of diagonal streets. Sometimes some places look like Buenos Aires, and many places don't. Sometimes what I feel is like it's a Buenos Aires with amnesia. I mean, if you had amnesia and you wake up and you feel like you're in Buenos Aires, but it's not Buenos Aires. And some brands are different, and people use slightly different words for something. So it has this kind of dream-like feeling. I'm really enjoying living here.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time today, Pedro and Jennifer. That was a great conversation. Today's guests were Pedro Mairal and Jennifer Croft, and they were discussing Pedro's novel, The Woman from Uruguay. You can order your copy of the book or any of the others mentioned on today's podcast at skylitbooks.com, or swing by and find them at our store. Thank you for listening, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for listening to the Skylight Books podcast series. Please don't forget to visit our website at skylitbooks.com and make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast for more author talks and bookseller conversations. You can find us on Podbean, iTunes, and Spotify. Stay safe and healthy, and we hope to see you back in our store soon.